welcome to Daily News. Today we'll be talking about Spider-Man 2, and we got the Nintendo 3DS, Sony, and Respawn. So now let's jump right into that news. So the villain swarm of Spider-Man was supposed to be in the first game that released last year on the PS4, but was cut, and I think that character might still be was still in development, so it didn't make it into the game, but it looks like this could be made into the second game, Spider-Man 2, which sounds like it's in really early development, but it sounds like it does happen because how good the first Spider-Man sold last year. It basically says that there will be a second one, so this this villain will now most likely be in the second one. If you don't know who he is, it's just like a person that's made up of a bunch of bees and attacks people. It's the really easy term for it. But that's good to know if you're really into Spider-Man and you really like that first game. And just got another game to look forward to in the coming future. You'll probably drop next year or the year after, depending on when they actually announce it, because the last game just came out, so it's probably most likely to come out in 2021 at the earliest, but you never know. Things are crazy and things can come out sooner than you think. So as of right now, at this very moment, there is no new 3DS titles coming out on the 3DS as of first party titles go from like Nintendo or their subsidiaries that they use to make their first party titles with their intellectual properties. This being said, it doesn't mean at E3 we might get an announcement of something, but it looks like at this point that from Nintendo's aspect, the 3DS is now basically dead. I mean, they're still supporting it, but give it another few years, then they'll be done with it. It sounds like they're not making any more games for that, and they're focusing on the successful Nintendo Switch and getting that up and going with more great first-party titles like they have been doing. And a lot of the games that they have put on the 3DS and their handhelds in general are now on the Nintendo Switch. Like the Pokemon series is now on the Nintendo Switch, and the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee was on there, and then they got another one coming out this year at the end of the year on Nintendo Switch, which is no longer on the 3DS, so there's a big one that was always on the handhelds going onto another console. And every other iteration for Animal Crossing has been on a handheld, but this time it's on the Nintendo Switch, or it should be. Yeah, it will be going on back and forth, but it won't be a 3DS or a successor to go with that. So it sounds like the 3DS is almost at its end for first party titles, but that doesn't mean other companies won't be making games, and Nintendo will probably support the console itself but not make any games for another 2 years or so before they just stop supporting it altogether and stop making it, and it's no longer going to be in production. So get it while you can. It's got a huge line of great titles, and it's pretty cheap too, so it's a great handheld game to have with your Nintendo Switch, because both of them have a lot of great titles to play on the go. So Sony has come out and said that the PlayStation 5 will not release in the next 12 months, which brings us to next year around April, May kind of ish. That doesn't mean that they won't release next year, which I'm probably going to say it probably will release at the end of 2020 or beginning of 2021. And it will probably be announced at E3 next year, because Sony's not coming to E3 this year. So if they really want to go with a bang, come out back next year, this is a great way to start it with a really big announcement for the PlayStation 5, because Sony might, Microsoft might bring something big this year because their main big competitor Sony won't be there, so they're gonna come out big this year. But we'll see the return, hopefully, of Sony next year and announcing that PlayStation 5. That's my predictions, and let's wait till the future to see what happens. So Respawn is pushing back all of their Titanfall current and future titles to work on stuff for the seasons for Apex Legends to make those better and bring back a lot of the players, because the player counts is starting to dwindle a little bit and they're starting to spread around back onto the other Battle Royale games. But this also does not affect the Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. That's its own team at Respawn. It's just the other side. It's like, which is like the whole Titanfall team, which is also got Apex Legends, because that's basically Titanfall itself. Is just reskinned into this multiplayer game. So yeah, no Titanfall game for a little while. They have said that this current game that they were working on is a Titanfall game, but it's not Titanfall 3. It is a AAA title, but in a different way to what the last two Titanfall games were. So eventually we will be getting a Titanfall game, just not the Titanfall 3, and it's a little bit different, and it's not a VR game, if that's what people were speculating on. So we'll have to wait, but a VR game in a Titan will be amazing, and that will be a game down the line, hopefully, because I would play that. That'd be a lot of fun to kind of in virtual reality control a Titan, or any gigantic robot to be exact. But Titanfall would be a great use of VR and get another great game out there into the VR world. But we'll have to wait a little bit longer to get the next Titanfall, because they're working on building back up Apex Legends and getting their player base back up a little bit higher to where it was. I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not to where it was when it first released. So we'll have to wait and see what they put out in the future. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give us a thumbs up. It lets us know that you like the content that we make here. Also, comment down below when you think the PlayStation 5 will be announced and or released. I'd like to get some discussion going on in the comments, and I want to know what you guys think on this topic. Also, subscribe to this YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, support us on Patreon so we can bring videos like this one and videos on our other channels. Also, go to teespring.com, purchase our merch, post on social media, link in the description, and let us know that you are a true fan.